I took this as divine invitation to embark on a journey that challenged my very limit.
You were at 0 and you had to reach 100. That was the fate, it took you to 100.
Follow your heart. Always ask your heart. Your heart will never ever lie to you.
It's a cause that you're supporting, so it's really amazing.
You should always have a goal. You should always believe in your dream, whatever the dream it is.
If a person is still on the path of understanding that what is their purpose in this world, what are the advices that you will give them? Hi everyone, welcome to yet another exciting episode of Boss Talks with me, Mohsinaa Ahmad. Today, we are privileged to welcome an extraordinary individual who embodies the power of dreams and determination. Mostafa Salameh. Born to Palestinian refugee parents in Kuwait, Mostafa has achieved what only 19 other people in history have accomplished, completing the prestigious Explorer Grand Slam, which includes summiting the 7 summits and reaching both the North and the South Poles. His remarkable journey into mountaineering began in 2004 through a profound spiritual experience, a calling, a vivid dream where he saw himself reciting the call to prayer from Mount Everest summit. This divine intervention transformed Mostafa from a hospitality professional into a world-class mountaineer. In 2008, he turned his dream into reality by becoming the first Palestinian-Jordanian to conquer Mount Everest, an achievement that earned him a knighthood from King Abdullah II of Jordan. Mostafa has shared his inspiring story through several books, including Dreams of Refugee, published by Bloomsbury, and a series of children's books about his adventures. His latest work, Journey of Ascension and Rising, explores the spiritual dimensions of mountaineering. As a keynote speaker and resilience expert, Mostafa has delivered hundreds of motivational talks across Europe, North America, and the Arab world, inspiring corporate audiences with his message of perseverance and possibility. Currently serving as the founder and CEO of Mostafa Salameh Adventures and brand ambassador for Quds Bank, he continues to lead expeditions and share his extraordinary journey from refugee routes to the world's highest peaks. His story reminds us that with faith, persistence, and courage, no dream is too high to reach. Hi, Mostafa. Welcome to my show, Boss Talks.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the introduction.
So you got into mountaineering and it came from an intuition, a dream rather. So how did this all begin?
Well, it was a moment of transformative. It was more than a dream, it was more calling.
Yes.
Of awakening of deep sense of purpose with me. And I think when I heard the call of prayer on my dream, I took this as a divine invitation to embark on a journey that challenged my very limit, because I've never climbed a mountain in my whole life. So, and the dream was I was standing in the top of the world. So following the call, it wasn't easy at all at the time. It felt impossible, especially considering I've never slept in a sleeping bag or been on a mountain ever. But I learned when we align ourselves with a faith that you have inside, I think it can take you absolutely very, very far. I always come back, I always relate everything that I do to the Quran. And there is a beautiful verse in the Quran. It says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. God does not change what's in you until you make that change. So this change could make the difference. And I think this is how I was started. And I now see these challenges that I wanted to face that as an opportunity for growth, and following my calling, no matter how impossible, taught me that even in the face of the most extreme condition, we can achieve extraordinary things if we remain faithful to our purpose. And the purpose that I have is that calling of the prayer, which is the adhan. So the focus was the azan.
Right. So powerful, what you said. You were at zero and you had to reach 100. And that calling that you had, that was the fate which gave you the courage, the resilience, and, it took you to 100. So having transitioning from a 14-year-old career in international hospitality to becoming a professional mountaineer, what parallels do you draw between scaling mountains and meditation and your spiritual journey?
I mean, the transition was not just a career shift, it was more of a spiritual transformation. So it was more deep inside. In hospitality, I was constantly faced with challenges that require patience, adaptability, and resilience, skills that prove maybe it helped me in mountaineering, actually, in a way. Being in hospitality, spending 7 years washing dishes, and then move to Scotland and study and become a food and beverage manager. All this has definitely prepared me because I didn't know they were everything that I was doing. It was preparing me for that point, which is having that dream and then believe in that dream and follow it. And I think if I did not go through what I did, I don't think I will be able to take that call very seriously. But the key to move forward, even when the summit feels so distant, even when I felt like, how on earth I'm going to go do anything like this? And the more I read about climbing Mount Everest, the more I thought this is going to be impossible. But finding the strength and the faith. And I think, you know what, I can tell you, hand in my heart, that I relate everything to God, to Allah, and I leave it in his hand. And I move focus in that goal and in that path and in these challenges, in this big mountain, feeling that I am leaving my soul and my body to something that is more powerful than me. And that, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Everything that we do, if it's in good intention, no matter how small the step that you take, in the end, you're going to get in the top if you have the good intention. And I had that good intention, which is transforming my experience into a spiritual experience so I can be able to write the books I wrote and tell people the story that I'm telling, and everything that I did, I related to God.
So, while climbing the highest peak or all other mountains as well, what is the kind of thought process? And, because you need a lot of resilience, like hours and hours of alone time you have. So, what is that inner talk that is going on in you during that time?
So, climbing the world's high peaks has been as much as an internal journey than an external journey. So, we have to start from here. So, solo dates on the mountain is unlike anything else. Like, it's something absolutely unbeatable. It's time when you are in a beautiful stillness of this massive mountain and you feel like so little in there. But you know what? The most important things is the preparation before you go. So the knowledge that you're going to have before you get there, and also discipline is the most important things. And you know what? For me, discipline, when you wake up at Al-Fajr every day at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the mosque and pray, that is the best discipline that you can ever do. If you can do this every single day, you go to the mosque before the azan, you hold the Quran and read the Quran, maybe recite and maybe try to recite in your heart how much you can. I think if you can do this, you can absolutely conquer the impossible. And I can tell you this from an experience. And there is something else as well is very important, is not to give up, because it wasn't very easy journey to get up to the top of Everest because it was my third try. But I always remember Mary, Sitna Maryam, and there is a beautiful surah in the Quran all about Maryam and how God put her in a test when she was 9 months pregnant with Sayyidina Isa. And he came to this big tree and God told her, "Huzzi ilayki bi jid'in nakhlati tusaqitu alayki rutaban janiyya." Shake this big tree so you can have some food coming. This is Sayyidina Isa. He was telling her that. So do you think this God who is powerful cannot bring that food in front of her? It can't, but it's teaching us, who's the people who's reading the Quran after thousands, hundreds of years, to say you should never give up. You should always, always believe there is something bigger than you, and take that, believe it in your heart that it's going to work, and God will make it work. But you have to start, you have to do the action to be able to have something bigger to make it easy for you.
So tell me, Mustafa, that you have climbed these mountains, you have made the impossible possible through your faith. Now, what is the kind of teachings that you are giving in terms of, when you are going ahead with corporate trainings all over the world? What is the kind of teachings that you're going ahead and you're telling them?
I tell people every one of us has an Everest in their life. An Everest can be absolutely anything. It could be a mountain, it could be your faith, education, career, it could be absolutely anything. There is three most important things that you have to follow in your life. One, you should always follow your heart, because the connection between you and the Almighty is the heart. The connection between you and this life is your heart. The mind that is there, that is being created, is for you to think, because we all, God give us the choice. We always have the choice. But because Allah knows the future, it's written for you. It's not written by you because you have to do it. No, it's written because you have the brain to follow and to do it. So this is number one. Number two is that you have to have the knowledge. Knowledge is great. If I'm reading the Quran, I need to understand it, not just to read it this way, because when I understand it, I will be able to have khushu' when I'm praying, that this is beautiful connection between me and Allah. And we have to remember, if you go in to pray every day because you are worried that you're going to go to paradise or hellfire, then you shouldn't do it. You should always do it because you have passion to go and meet this Almighty who's that you feel so comfortable and happy to go and meet. And the third thing is discipline. Discipline is a big thing, that if you really want to do things in life, you have to take what you want to do very seriously and be disciplined about it. And this is the only way you can do it.
From your, climbing journey to becoming an author, what is it taught you in terms of human potential and the limitations that we put on ourselves?
You know what? It's sometimes we're very hard on ourselves and we make things complicated when it's very, very easy. When I say it's easy, when I had that dream about the mountain, I never climbed a mountain my whole life, but I was doing things. I was smoking. I didn't train. I wasn't doing any sort of training or fitness. So I learned everything that I do is start here. If I believe in it 100% in my mind and soul and heart, I can do it. But I can tell you, this chart on the mountain, 70% of climbing any mountain, the biggest mountain I climb or skiing the South Pole took me 65 days to ski, holding behind me 180 kilo. There is 70% is mentally and 10% is physically. The other 10% is technicality and 10% is money and time. So I was lucky to have the sponsorship and the time. And then the other 10%, I took every morning. I wake up after prayer, I go and do my training. I look after myself, because al-aql salim fi jism salim. When you have a body that is fit, your mind is fit. And that's why I wake up in the morning and I sleep by 9:30 in the evening. After Isha, 2 hours after Isha, I'll sleep. The other 10% is technicality, which is you need the knowledge. You need to read about what you're doing and you need to understand it. So, but if you have one of these 10% is not working, it will affect that 70%. So that 30%, you need to work on them very well. You need to work in your fitness. You need to work in the technicality, how you do stuff. You need to finalize your sponsorship or time or whatever. And then you can concentrate completely in here and make it happen.
So tell me one thing, the moment you reached the Mount Everest, the top of it, what was your feeling? What was the first thing that you had?
Nobody can really explain a feeling when you're on the top of the world, but you know what? You don't see any anything because you're above the cloud, 3,000 feet above the cloud. You see beautiful blue sky. But what really affected me when I called the azan and I prayed and I knew I was the highest person on earth to pray in this spot, but also I knew your connection with God. It doesn't matter where you are. You can be in the lowest point on earth in the Dead Sea, or you can be in the highest point. If you have that clean, you have a great connection. It doesn't matter where you are. But, I was very proud to be in the top of the world. But the proudest moment is to call the azan and do my prayer in the top.
So, what is easier? Is it climbing up or climbing down?
Well, they say in mountaineering, going up is optional, coming down is mandatory. So coming down is tough because you reach your goal and now you want to come back, but you always have in your mind, I came to the top, that's halfway. The other halfway when I come all the way down, because you know what, most accident, there is 300 dead body on Everest. And I can tell you that 80% of these people died in the way down, not in the way up.
So what does it teach someone, that you should always have a goal?
You should always have a goal. You should always have a dream. You should always believe in your dream. You should always, whatever the dream it is, there is nothing is impossible. And I can tell you this because I went through this, but there is nothing come easy. You have to really work hard to be able to achieve anything you want. You can't say to yourself, oh, I want to do this, I want to achieve this, but you're sitting there, you're doing nothing about it. So you really have to work hard to be able to do it. But believe me, I can tell you that whatever the goal that you put, and it doesn't matter where you are. I started from nothing. I started in a refugee camp. My family didn't have much money. I had to work for 7 years in the kitchen to save money to go to university. And I have to work really hard. I had to go back to the mountain again and again and again to be able to make it to the summit. So it's a big thing. So you have to be patient and never, ever give up in your dream. And I always believe every time I have an idea and I will do it, I always have a plan A. I don't have plan B, C, and D. I just concentrate on that A. And if something happened, then I will deal with it. And I have another plan called A.
Right. So you have written many books, both adult and children's literature, focusing on different aspects of your journey, from refugee experiences to spiritual journey. Can you please tell us about the book which, a person should read to have that self-actualization?
The decision to write for both adults and children came from a desire to reach people at the different stages of their life. And I think to offer them something to resonate with their unique stage of life and something to resonate with their unique experience, whatever experience you have. So for children, I wanted to show them that no matter where they come from, they can have the power to reach for the stars. They can do absolutely anything they want. So these are the children book. And I think for the others, I wanted to convey a lesson that I've learned about resilience and perseverance. It's like the strength of a human spirit through the lens of my own journey, because the human body can take you so far. And I can tell you so many stories about how the human body can take you. And I think life is full of obstacles on the mountain or off the mountain, but it's also full of hope. And we should always hold in that hope. Young or adult readers walk away with renowned of sense of belief in their ability to overcome challenges and to do anything they want to do. The 4 books are different. The books for the children, which is Everest, Dare to Dream. And then there is another book called Kilimanjaro. It's about the highest point in Africa. And they teach them that teamwork is the most important things to achieve. And my latest book, which is Rihlat Su'ud al-Irtiqa, it's a spiritual book. It's all about bringing all the stories from the Quran about adventure and putting it in this book. And the first book, Dreams of a Refugee, is an autobiography, talk about my life story and talk about Islam, Sufism, talk about the people who really made an impact of my life, like Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Rumi, Sufism, all this stuff. So
what is meditation for you?
Meditation for me is to get up early in the morning, go to the mosque and do my prayer. Al-Fajr is the best meditation for me. to sit before the azan and sit there and pray and talk to Allah, that is the best meditation for me.
How do you implement this in terms of when it is spiritual guidance or that intuition or that, calling, like you said? Because we get calling every day. There are miracles happening every day. There are thought process that, Allah is protecting us and guiding us every day. So how do you tap in that energy? Do you tap it at the time of Fajr?
It come to me, and I think there is a beautiful example. Every single Friday they tell us to read Surah Al-Kahf, and I didn't know why until I've learned that there is a massive lessons between Sayyidina Al-Khudr and Sayyidina Musa, and beautiful story between them. When Sayyidina Musa was looking for Sayyidina Al-Khudr and he found him and he wanted to learn, but he didn't have the patience, so he kept asking him why you did this and that. But there is one section where Sayyidina Al-Khudr and Sayyidina Musa came to this village. They asked for some food, but the villagers will not give them the food. So Sayyidina Al-Khudr, he saw this wall that nearly is going to go down, and he knew that there is two children who are still young, and there is this cans, a treasure under this, and if this wall collapse, this treasure, people will see it and they will take it from the children. So he built it up. And Sayyidina Musa asked him, why did you do this? They didn't give us a food. But there were these big lessons that Allah gave us. This wall, we can be 100% sure Allah can keep that wall standing until these two young men become an adults. But he's teaching us that God always put opportunity in your way. And it's how you take that opportunity and not ask the question why it's there. You need to do it. And when you do that, don't think about taking some sort of a reward from it. No, because the reward is bigger than you think, because you're going to see it on live. So, most of the lesson I like to tell people to learn, I've learned it from the Quran. Every single lesson every time I have any obstacle in my life, I go back and see where is the story that can teach me something to overcome any problem I have.
If a person is still on the path of understanding themselves, that what is their purpose in this world, okay, what are the advices that you will give them to find what is the real calling in them?
Follow your heart. Always ask your heart. Always. Your heart will never ever lie to you. That's why when we feel something beautiful in life, or if we feel a tragedy, we always feel it in our stomach, in our gut. This is the center of everything. So you need to see, if you feel it here, that's mean you are going in the right direction. So I would say to everyone, ask your heart, follow your heart.
That's such a lovely conversation and so
Thank you.
What is the next summit that you are climbing? What is the next mountain that you're climbing?
I've just came back from Kilimanjaro, climbing it for the 40th time. So 40 times, fundraising more than $7.5 million from this mountain. But we're doing an expedition in Kenya for 20 doctors, building a hospital there. We're going, after that, I'm doing an expedition in the Himalayas, and then I'm going back to Kilimanjaro. And yeah, I'm always trying to be in the mountain, but to climb for a cause, to take people to climb for charity, cancer. We're doing something for Gaza, for refugees. So it's always something that I like to do. I always miss the mountain, to go back to the mountain, but also I miss coming back and see my family.
It's a cause that you're supporting, so it's really amazing.
The biggest cause is King Hussein Cancer Center, which is helping children. And now we're concentrating on the children that come from Gaza who have cancer. So we fundraise money for that. We just did something for the UK mental health, do something for disabilities, education, opening a hospital in Kenya, treating women with colon cancer. So, different causes, but they're all great causes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mostafa, for giving your time and joining us and enlightening us about spirituality and about a life purpose and fate. So amazing conversation. Thank you.
Salam alaikum.
And wa alaikum salam.